But anyhow, anyway, the devil has a goal, and that goal is for you to go to hell. I'm going to say it one more time. That goal is for you to go to hell, and you're going to learn out later that if you burn, he don't have to burn for you. You better write that down. If you go to hell and burn, he doesn't have to burn for you, but all the mess he done caused me, I surely want him to burn up. And I have no intentions of burning for him. Can I get a witness in here? Y'all not in here. Okay, now, here's something that you learned, because a lot of you looked at me last week in shock, and some of you came to me and finally decided. Remember now, you can text me if you have some questions. Some of you were shocked with the other part. You said, Pastor, I knew we had 5 senses that he always dealt with, but I did not know that he also deals with sources of influence besides my inherited tendencies. What is an inherited tendency? Inherited tendency is something that you were born with. I'll say it one more time. An inherited tendency is something that you were born with. What happens is you begin to cultivate it. Take, for instance, if there's an alcoholic in your family, chances are you can become an alcoholic too. All you have to do is start drinking because you already have that tendency. Are y'all in here? You already have that tendency. So now there are some other entities that Satan uses. He uses personal motivations. Personal motivations means that I am motivated to do something that I want to do, and nobody is going to stop me. That is a personal motivation which Satan also uses, of the dragon uses against me. The second one is personal ability, or personal abilities. Now watch this. Every last one of us, God has given us a specific ability. I can't hear you. I'm going to say that one more time. Every last one of us have a personal ability. And a lot of times what Satan does is he will use our personal abilities to use and get others and also use us. Personal abilities. The next one is social abilities. Some of us think we look so cute. And then we have other folk who don't look so cute following us. Come on, y'all. Come on now. Come on. I mean, we see that all the time. And what we do is we influence these individuals. And so Satan uses our personal ability, and then he uses our social ability, and he uses our structural motivation. That's why they have gangs. Motivation, and somebody is leading the gang because he has a structural motivation because this other person is not receiving this structure at home. Are y'all in here? And then finally, we have all of these motivations that the devil uses. Let's say them. Number 1, personal motivation. Number 2, personal abilities. Number 3, social abilities. Number 4, structural motivation. Number 5, structural ability. Then finally, Satan's final weapon, he causes us to doubt God. His final weapon is he causes us to doubt God, and it's called insecurity. It's called what, everybody? How many of us have been insecure about some things? Every last one of us have been insecure about some things. You know, you look at me as a preacher and a speaker, and sometimes I get nervous. Do y'all believe that? I figured y'all was going to say that. But there are times when you become insecure, even if you think you know everything. Amen? All right, so now watch this. Watch this. In our personal relationship with God, because sometimes we're high, sometimes we're middle, and sometimes we're low, right? Now here comes the issue. Here comes the issue. The reason we struggle with insecurity is because we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. Meaning we look at how good and how great Abraham was. We know the story of Abraham. He's the father of the faithful, but he lied. Am I right about it? We hear about Paul, how he overcame, and I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And we forget that Paul had a problem. He had a thorn in the flesh. We talk about how great Moses was, and Moses this and Moses that. We forgot Moses was disobedient. And he didn't get to heaven when he wanted to. Are y'all in here? So now, these are Satan's final weapons causing us to do what he wants us to do. He says, I will be like the Most High God. Satan, the dragon, who created nothing but mess, says he's going to be God. Says he's going to be like the Most High God. What did he create? Come on, talk to me, y'all. I need y'all to talk. What did he create? He created confusion. He created all of those stupid things, which means he created nothing. Which brings us now to criminal minds. Criminal minds. Now, this afternoon, we're going to have part 2 at 5 o'clock on criminal minds. Now, there is a program. How many of you have seen Criminal Minds? Mm-hmm. There is a program, and it's really interesting about this program. You have these characters who are supposed to be detectives. And these individuals attempt and they really figure out what the criminal has really done. Now here is the question. The question is, how could they think of the motives and the actions of the people who actually did it? But they do. Do you know why they do? Because their minds is like that. The only difference is they didn't do it. Uh-oh. Did y'all get that? The only difference is they didn't do it, which means that there is somebody who has this same mentality that will make you do it and stand back and watch you. And you become accountable for it. Are y'all in here? Revelation 13:4. Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go, because I want you to get this real good. And they worship the dragon. They worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. Now, who is the dragon? Look at the text. The dragon is the Satan, and the Satan gives power unto and they worship the beast. Uh-oh. They did what? They did what, everybody? They did what, everybody? Now, who gave the beast the power? 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 for people to worship who? Him behind the scene, but he gave the beast the power for people to worship also. Did y'all get that? The dragon, who is the devil, gives this beast the power for folk to worship him, but in reality, the beast is for the dragon, and folk who's worshiping the beast don't even know they're worshiping Satan. And then the question comes up, who is able to make war with him? So here is an example. Can I give you an example right quick? Come on, Keisha. Johnny, come here, will you? Johnny, Johnny's married, y'all, okay? Okay. Johnny, there is a young lady that Keisha knows that you want to take out on a date. But she can't stand you. She really hates your guts. But you and Keisha real tight. Okay, and so you tell Keisha, hey, look, Keisha, I know we just good friends, you know. But there's this other young lady that's a very good friend of yours. Can you talk to her and tell her how nice I am, how good looking I am, how I open the door, and I do all these things, and I do all these things, and ask her to just give him a chance. Can you do that? All right. She won't listen to what you have to say, but she listens to what Keisha says. And so Keisha talks to her, and then Keisha tells you, give her a call. You call her, and she says, sure, Johnny, let's go on out for a date. What happened? Here it is over here, influence. What was it, everybody? Influence. I want y'all to get that. Influence. And this person back here does not know, Keisha's friend does not know that Johnny spoke to her to get what Johnny wanted. So the devil does the same thing. He uses the beast to get what he wants, and that's you. Thank you. Give him a hand. So now, we're going to really get deep. There was a king. His name was Nebuchadnezzar. What was his name, everybody? And I want you to write this down. God always gives you a warning. Say it one more time. God always gives you a warning. What does God do? God always gives you a warning. He always tells you something before it happens. Satan doesn't do that. I'm going to say it one more time. Satan does not do that. God gives you a warning. So this king had a dream. And in this dream, he saw an image. And this image, he really couldn't think of what he dreamed, and that's a long story. You can study that, but I'm going to get to the basics, the basis of this. This dream was a dream about King Nebuchadnezzar and other individuals. So this dream talked about who ruled the world. Who did what? Who ruled the world? Now, the first person to rule the world is in the text, Daniel 2. It says, you, O king, were watching, and behold a great image. A great what? A great image. This great image, whose splendor was excellent, stood before you, and its form was awesome. Its form was what, everybody? Awesome. This image head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. Now that's what the king saw. Remember what I told you. God always gives you a warning. Don't forget that. God always gives you a warning. It goes on to say, you watched while a stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. Now, the king wakes up and he calls on his soothsayers. He calls on his interpreters. He calls on all of these people who were supposed to know the future. Y'all read the horoscope? And y'all think the horoscope would tell you your plans for today and your plans for the future? Like Jean Dixon. Is she still alive? Ain't she dead? All the way. All right. Now watch this. Watch this. I told you, and you need to remember this, I told you God always warns you so that you will know what not to do. So that you will what, everybody? Know not what to do. Satan doesn't warn you. I'm going to say it one more time. Satan does not warn you. Satan does not what, everybody? Satan does not warn you. And watch this. Because the king believed in the soothsayers and the astrologers, they couldn't think of the dream. Isn't that funny? When you need something from Satan, he can't tell you. Because he only wants to use you. Are y'all in here? All right. And so now somebody else has to show up to tell the dream, and this young man's name is Daniel. This young man's name is what, everybody? Now, the rest of the text says, and became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away so that no trace was found in them. No trace was what? Found in them. So now, we begin to have the interpretation of the dream, which Daniel begins to tell them. Daniel says, you are this head of gold. What are you? That means you are the first person to rule the world. He says, but after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to yours. And we're going to talk about all of these things later on this afternoon. He says, next, a third kingdom, one of bronze, will rule over the whole earth. Then he says, and the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron. And then he says, in the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never, ever be destroyed. Now, history tells us, and history shows us, that no other kingdom after Rome has ever ruled the world. Am I right? Does Russia rule the world? Does America rule the world? Does Britain rule the world? Who rules the world? Nobody. So then right then and there, we automatically know that God means exactly what he says, that no other kingdom will rule the world. No other kingdom will what, everybody? I can't hear you. No other king will what, everybody? Will rule the world, because God says they shall not cleave one to another. Now, watch this. Now, here we go. Here we go to the point I really want to get to. This afternoon, we will discuss the other part that I just ran over, okay? We'll discuss that this afternoon. Now, watch this. After the king gets the dream from God's servant, this is what he says. Now, I'm not lying. It's in the text. He says, truly your God is the God. Wait a minute. Truly your God is meaning that the king has been warned, and meaning the king understands that there is no other God besides the God. Are y'all in here? I'm going to say it one more time. I want you to understand this. I want you to understand this. Number one, God warns you before you run into trouble. Satan doesn't warn you. God warns Nebuchadnezzar. And when Nebuchadnezzar gets the interpretation of the dream, Nebuchadnezzar turns around and says, truly, your God is the God of gods, the Lord of lords, and a revealer of secrets. But here comes the crazy and stupid part. Here comes the crazy and the most ignorant part you could ever run across. Look what the king does after acknowledging who God is. He says, is not this the great Babylon that there's that word I will be like the most. Boy, y'all smart. I didn't know y'all were so smart. Satan says, I will be like the what? Here comes Nebuchadnezzar saying what? I. And he just heard and just said that God is the God of all gods. Are y'all up in here? Wait, I must, because I really truly want you to get this, because this is very important. First of all, God warns Nebuchadnezzar. Then Nebuchadnezzar turns around and says, God is God. Am I wrong? Wait a minute, if I'm wrong, because y'all looking at me like I'm crazy, am I wrong or right? God says to Nebuchadnezzar, you better listen, I'm warning you. Satan doesn't warn you. God says, I'm warning you. Daniel comes and gives this brother the dream. He admits to the fact that God is God, and besides God, there is no other. Then he turns around and he says, I. Now, who gives him this power and authority to say I? The devil. Oh. Because God wouldn't say that, would he? God would not say to tell Nebuchadnezzar to say I. Are y'all in here? How many agree with that? Okay, now watch this. Watch this. Watch this. So now, the devil uses King Nebuchadnezzar's, one of his 6 sources that you already reviewed earlier. He uses personal motivation, meaning self. Self. Because he says, I. Satan says, I. Are y'all in here? Or are you really thinking now? I really want you to think, because if you understand what's taking place, then you'll understand how Satan can deceive so many of us into thinking that we're worshiping him. Are y'all in here? So Satan is using personal motivation, meaning self. I. How many of us have I-itis? I do this, and I do that, and I will get you into trouble. Every time you turn around, I will get you into trouble. Now, here comes the newest part. Nebuchadnezzar the king he makes an image of gold. What does he do? Now notice what he did. God says, you are the head of gold. That's all you are. You're not going to rule the world forever. That's all you are. Nebuchadnezzar said God was God and that what God said was right. Now the brother turns around and he makes the whole image, and the whole image is of gold. But look at what he says. Look what else he does. Then King Nebuchadnezzar, he sent together the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the chefs, and all the rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. Now, what did God tell Nebuchadnezzar? He says, you will only rule the world for a while. Nebuchadnezzar says, your God is God. I believe that. Then that then that dummy turns around and says, I. Now, who influenced the I out of him? Boy, y'all smart. Y'all are smart. Now watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Then the princes who is under the king is told, y'all get all the people. Y'all get all the what? Y'all get all the people and have all of the people come to the dedication. What did the people do? Obeyed. What caused them to obey? Influence, right? Here is good, and not questioning. Now, y'all ain't in here now because I just hit your side of the head with a boom, boom. See, they never questioned. They just went. Oh, y'all missing me? You missing me? I'm going to say it one more time. They never questioned. They just went. I'm going to say it one more time. They never questioned. They just went. Here's your example. Y'all laughed before, but here you go again. If your mama told you that your birthday was in June, you'd believe it, wouldn't you? Why would you believe it? That's your mama. You would believe it. That's your mama, right? But then if something required you to get a birth certificate, and you went and got the birth certificate, and your birthday said March, you question mama. Because mama's been telling you June, but the birth certificate says March. And you never, ever question mama. So many of us never question anything about what the Word of God says. All we do is follow tradition. Are y'all in here? Because y'all truly don't hear me. Because what we do is we don't ask questions because my mama's 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 mama did it. Are y'all thinking? I really want you to think. Because if you think, you can make it. But if you don't think, you're in the wrong location. You're in the wrong location. So now, these people came to this great mountain, to the plain of Dura. And when they get here, this is what they're told to do. Told to what? They weren't asked to do it. Get that, please get that good. They were not asked to do it. They were told to do it. And they obeyed blindly because they never asked a question. Here's the text. When you hear the sound of the horn, pipes, and all these instruments, you shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar, in other words, when you hear all this music, you came because you didn't ask why. And now I'm going to tell you to bow down because you have always followed instructions without questioning. You have always followed instructions without questioning, which means you are following me blindly. Now here comes the threatening part. You see what happens when you wake up and you finally study and you finally learn, then here comes somebody threatening you on why you shouldn't do it. Are y'all in here? Come on, talk to me. And why you shouldn't do it. So now here's what happens. Whoever faileth not, or whoever falleth not down and worship, shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Yeah, we talk about Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys, but we don't understand all the rest of it. You know, everybody preach on Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys and the da-da-da-da-da and the da-da. But here's the truth. Now watch. I'm going to say it one more time so you can really grab what's taking place. What is taking place is now, first of all, they are told to do it. They're told to come. Nobody questions. Nobody asks. Nobody does anything. And then they are told to bow down. And here again, through blind obedience, they do what? They bow down. The text says, when the people heard the sound, they did what? They bowed down. So now, here comes a test of what we call loyalty. A test of what, everybody? Which means it's all about worship and obedience. It's between what, everybody? It's between what, everybody? Who is asking to be worshiped? Nebuchadnezzar is asking the folk to be worshiped because he's the king. But who has motivated Nebuchadnezzar to say that? Satan. Uh-oh. The text says, and the dragon, who is what? Gave power to the, and folk worshiped the, has there ever been times that you've been tricked into doing something you wish you hadn't done? Oh, y'all mighty quiet. You know, you're going to holler after a while. I want you to think. I really want you to truly think. Have you been tricked into doing something that you really were sorry for doing? Oh, yeah, that's a little bit better. And after being tricked into doing it, you changed. And you said, I was sorry, and you didn't do it again. But some people know, and they keep doing it. All right. All these people bows down. But there's somebody who asks the question. And their name is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Their names is what? Their names is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And you know, there's always somebody who will tell on you, especially when you're doing the right thing. Are y'all in here? Okay, now watch. Daniel 3. I'm not lying. It's in the text. Look at the text. It's in the text. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego says, your threat means nothing to us. Your threat means what? If you throw us in the fire, the God we serve can rescue us from your roaring furnace. And watch this. And anything else you try to put up. Now that tells me that number one, the three Hebrew boys stood fast to their God. Number two, it tells me that they studied. Number three, it tells me that they had already previously understood how God had blessed them. So if you want a blessing, you got to learn how to worship and obey the right God. Here comes the great part. It says, O king, if I'm in the fire and I'm burned up, it don't matter. I'm going to still serve the Lord anyhow. I need somebody I'm going to ask Pastor Domino to come up here and his wife. Let's give him a hand. Can you get a mic over there right quick? Don't they look nice? Don't you put it? You see how they obey? All right, turn around and look at each other. Okay. Hurry with the mic. You're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. Okay. Now, Mike. Do you love Sheila? Yes. You better say yes. Wait, okay. Now, Sheila, do you love Mike? Yes. You better say yes. All right. Now, wait. So now, you trust each other, don't you? Yes. Yes. Okay. You trust each other, right? Okay. Mike, put this on. No, I don't do that. Turn around. Not touch him. No, keep your hands on him. Keep your hands on him. Shake him around. Walk him that way. Walk him straight. Now spin him around. Spin him around some more, all the way around, and let him face that way. No, let him go ahead, spin him around. Spin him around again. Come on, you got to spin him around. Spin him all the way around and make sure he faces that wall over there. And when no, he won't be dizzy. And when he gets, stop. You okay, Mike? You know who's touching you? Who? Take the blindfold off. Now, y'all laugh. The devil. Are y'all in here? I don't need this now. The devil does the same thing. He makes you think that is God touching and blessing you. Because in the first place, the first time you get blessed, it's God. Nobody else blesses you first but God. But then after a while, you get high and lifted up and thank you so much. And you think you so high, and then Satan takes over. And you think your blessings are coming from God, when in reality, they're coming from Satan. So then there's this test of loyalty, which is all about worship and obedience. So now, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to write some of this stuff down and give it to you as a handout, because now here is the fourth principle of how the devil tricks us. Here is how the devil tricks us. And here is how the devil fools us to get us to worship him. The first thing is, he does not want you to think critically. Am I getting to you guys? He does not want you to think critical. He doesn't want you to think critically. Because critical thinking is a process. It is a what, everybody? You must, in this process, you must first examine all of the facts that you are assuming or that you think are true. Are y'all in here? I'm going to say it one more time. He doesn't want you to think critically, because critical thinking is a process, which means you must first examine all of the facts that you are assuming or that you think is true or that you have been doing for a long period of time. Many of the things that you think while you're thinking critical may not be reliable, or you may be assuming. You may not know whether they are true. You assume they are true because you have not investigated it, and because you want it to be true when in reality it's a lie. So then, point number 2, when you think critically, you need to examine your reasoning, which Satan doesn't want you to do. You need to examine your reasoning. Is your reasoning legitimate, or is it flawed in some way? Meaning, brothers and sisters, if there is a question that is kind of misty, that cannot be answered, I got a problem. Which then means perhaps you are only basing your reasoning in a certain direction. Meaning, can't nobody tell you nothing. Meaning, no matter what we show you or tell you, you're still going in this direction. And you're not thinking for yourself, because there's something tugging on you, which is that loud voice that you've been saying every series, which is that loud voice that causes you not to hear the small voice. Ooh. So then, what is your motivation? What is your motivation? Because we are very good at rationalizing beliefs when we are motivated by a desire to believe a certain conclusion. Don't need to say that again? We are very good at rationalizing beliefs when we are motivated by a desire to believe a certain conclusion. Now, I'm going to just throw this one at you, because you're going to learn a little later on. Like, you shall not surely die. Or when I die, I go to heaven. Are y'all thinking with me? Are you really truly thinking with me? Which means that a lot of times our rationalized beliefs, when we are motivated by a desire to believe a certain conclusion that we want to believe. So now, these are things Satan doesn't want you to do. Here comes the change or transformation that I want you to get right now. And I really truly want you to get this. I want you to listen. Understanding your motivations will help you remove that process and will give you skills to discover conclusions that are more likely to be true, as opposed to the ones that you just wish to be true. Did y'all hear what I just said? Understanding your traditions, understanding your motivations will help you remove the process and will give you skills to discover conclusions that are more likely to be true, as opposed to the ones that was not true. So then, Satan says, I need to be a god. I need to be worshiped. I need to be obeyed. And Satan is willing to transform himself into anything or anybody that he needs to do in order to get you. Because he wants you to burn for him, so he doesn't have to burn for you.